My name is Dio Brando. Remember that name? It is the name of the man who rose above the filthy, pathetic squalor of his birth to grasp true power, to conquer, to become a god. This is my story of those early days, the beginning of my glorious ascent, seen through my eyes. Not the bleeding, self-righteous lies told by that oaf Jonathan Joestar. This is the truth. My life began in the gutter. Dirt, poverty, the stink of cheap gin and desperation clinging to my worthless father. Dario. I saw the weakness in him, the disgusting surrender to circumstance. I swore then, even as a child crawling through filth, that I would never be weak. I would never be poor. I would rule. Everything changed when Dario died. The letter went out to Lord George Joestar, the fool who mistakenly believed my father had saved his life years before. Dario was merely trying to rob a corpse, but the idiot nobleman felt gratitude. Pathetic. Still, his weakness was my opportunity. I would enter his grand house. I would become his son. I would take everything. Walking into Joestar Mansion was like stepping from a sewer into a palace. The size of it. The wealth dripping from every wall. And there they were. George, weak and sentimental, and Jonathan Joestar. Big, stupid, trusting Jonathan. His eyes were so earnest, so believing, I almost laughed. This was the obstacle? This lumbering child raised on softness and privilege. He welcomed me like a brother. He offered me his toys, his friendship. It was sickening. His naive trust made him utterly predictable. He was a fly walking straight into my web. The first step was simple. Charm the father. Play the perfect, grateful orphan. George swallowed it whole. He was desperate for a son worthy of his name. Jonathan was a disappointment. Too simple, too emotional. I would be everything George wished Jonathan was. It was easy. Manners, flattery, false humility. George was clay in my hands. Then the real work began, destroying Jonathan. Not physically, not yet. First I had to break his spirit, ruin his standing in his own father's eyes. I started small, tripping him, spilling ink on his precious drawings, whispering lies that made him seem lazy or disrespectful. I framed him for stealing. George, desperate to believe in his perfect new son, punished Jonathan every time. The look on Jonathan's face, the confusion, the hurt, it was delicious. He couldn't understand why his father doubted him. Couldn't grasp the game I was playing. His dog Danny was next. That slobbering beast adored Jonathan. His loyalty was nauseating. Burning it alive in the furnace was efficient, practical. It removed a nuisance and inflicted deep pain, finding that charred collar. Jonathan's rage was magnificent. He finally attacked me. He actually managed to land a few blows, fueled by his primitive grief. But his violence played perfectly into my hands. George saw him as the brute, the uncontrollable animal attacking his poor, refined brother. My victory was complete. Jonathan was isolated, distrusted, drowning in confusion. I was the golden son. The mansion, the fortune, was almost mine, almost but not enough. George needed to die. Slowly, subtly, poison was the tool of the refined. Night after night, I dripped it into his drink. Watching him weaken, watching him rely on me as his devoted caregiver, while I killed him. It was exquisite. Power over life and death. This was true dominion. Meanwhile, I explored the Joestar library, their artifacts. That's when I found it. The stone mask. Ancient, strange, radiating a dark potential. Research hinted at its true nature. A device of transformation, of evolution. It needed blood. I experimented. A drunkard on the street. Worthless life. I strapped the mask to his face. Single drop of blood. And the mask came alive. Spikes drove into his skull. He screamed. Then changed. Gray skin, yellow eyes, fangs, a vampire. Power incarnate, he attacked me, the fool. But I was Dio Brando. I destroyed him. It was messy, but the proof was undeniable. The mask was the key to surpassing humanity. To becoming a god? Then Jonathan stumbled in. The idiot. He saw the transformed drunkard. He saw the mask. He saw me. His simple mind finally understood the threat. He attacked. We fought. The magnificent mansion burned around us. Chaos. I grabbed the mask. My destiny, and escaped into the night. George died soon after, finally realizing his beloved Dio was his killer. His weak gasps of betrayal were a satisfying final note. Jonathan was left with nothing but ashes and grief. Good, let him wallow. I had the mask. I had freedom. I had a world to conquer. I retreated to Win Knight's Lot, an ancient decaying castle by the sea. Perfect. Isolated. A fortress. The mask's power was incredible. With a mere drop of blood, I could turn men into loyal vampires or mindless zombies. I built an army. I became their king, Bruford Tarkus. Mighty warriors bound to my will. The feeling, the sheer power coursing through me, enhanced strength, speed, senses, the ability to freeze flesh with a touch. To regenerate, I was no longer just a man. I was ascending. The pathetic limitations of humanity fell away. Hunger, I fed on the blood of the strong, absorbing their vitality. Fear, I felt none. Death, I scoffed at it. I was eternal. I was perfection. And then Jonathan returned. Not broken, not defeated, but trailing that stench of righteousness. He wasn't alone. That meddling fool, Baron Zeppeli, taught him Haman. Sunlight energy, a gnat sting compared to my vampiric might. And Speedwagon, the street rat who dared defy me. They crawled into my castle like insects. My warriors fell before them. Unacceptable. Bruford, consumed by some lingering human sentimentality, pathetic. Tarkus, my mighty champion, fell to Jonathan's Haman. Impossible. Zeppeli sacrificed himself like a fool to empower Jonathan. A meaningless gesture. Did they think they could defeat me? Dio? The king? They reached my throne room. Jonathan stood before me, burning with that ridiculous Joestar spirit. He thought Haman made him my equal. He was still just a man. Strong, determined man. I grant him that much. But still flesh and blood. Still mortal. I toyed with him. Showed him his father's corpse. The look on his face when I severed George's head. Priceless. Such delicious agony. He fought back, fueled by rage. He shattered the ice I encased his arm in. Impressive for a human. But he was still just Jonathan Joestar, stumbling in the dark while I walked in the light of true power. Our battle raged through the castle. He landed a lucky blow, driving me back. Onto the stone spires of a statue. It pierced me. Pain, agony. The castle burned. They fled, thinking me finished. Fools. Did they forget what I am? I am Dio. I pulled myself free. Regeneration is a beautiful thing. They thought they had one. They thought they could escape me. I pursued them to the docks. They boarded a ship, like rats fleeing a sinking ship. I followed. The fight continued amidst the cargo crates. Jonathan fought with the desperation of a cornered animal. He was strong, I admit. He understood Haman well. But he was still just human. He made a mistake, a split second of weakness. I was behind him, my claws, so sharp, sliced his throat. Deep, beautiful cut. He staggered. Blood gushed. He knew it was over. The light in his eyes, fading. Victory was mine. The Joestar line ended here. His precious arena and his brat would be next. The world was mine for the taking. But then, he did something unexpected. Stupid, noble, utterly Joestar. With his dying breath, with blood choking him, he turned. He grabbed me, not to strike, but to hold. He wrapped his massive arms around me, pinning me against him, my head trapped against his chest. What was he doing? This wasn't fighting. This was an embrace. Insanity, Dio, he gasped, blood bubbling on his lips. I reject you. Your fate ends here. With me, he was impossibly strong, even dying. I struggled. I raged. I clawed at him, but he held fast. And then I smelled it. The acrid temps. Gunpowder. Explosives. Hidden in the cargo. Jonathan must have known. This was his final, pathetic gambit. To drag me down with him. To die like a common suicide bomber. The blast was everything. Fire, light, shattering force. The ship tore apart. The heat was immense. I felt my body, my perfect body, being ripped apart, consumed by fire. Jonathan's body shielded me from the worst of the initial blast, but then the sea rushed in, cold, dark, crushing pressure. My regeneration. It was overwhelmed. Fire. The water. The sheer destruction. My limbs tore free. My body shattered. Consciousness faded. Was this the end? For Dio Brando? No. It's impossible. I refused. I am eternal. I felt my head, severed, sinking, but not destroyed. My brain, intact. My will, unbroken. The cold water was like a tomb. Darkness. Silence. Jonathan Joestar's corpse sank nearby. The fool, he thought he won. He thought he ended me. He only delayed the inevitable. Sacrificed his life merely to lock me in a coffin of water and darkness. His precious arena escaped with his spawn. Fine. Let them run. Let them breed. Let them think Dio is gone. It only makes my eventual return sweeter. I sleep now. I gather my strength. I dream of the sun I will one day conquer. The world will know my name. It will tremble. I am Dio, and I will return. This is not the end. It is merely an interlude. Remember that. Remember me? Jonathan Joestar is dead. Dio Brando is forever.